Hello, hello. Welcome to Moms Convo Live. I'm so excited. Last week we started a special series with the Aryaa Organic community. And we're going to talk about Return to Coherence, which is about ancient wisdom and modern science. And I have one of the masters here who's also been a participant. Her name is Dr. Leiva, and I am so honored to have you here today. My community or our community here is about moms who are raising special needs children. And my goal here is just really to bring valuable information. We are mompreneurs, and that's another reason why I wanted you to be on our show today because you're a mompreneur too, and your life. I remember meeting you through the Aryaa community. I think it was in January. You shared your story. It might have been the last one, as a master. And I know you are a doctor of physical therapy. However, you are more in the modern science area. So, just share a little bit about yourself, because as I was saying, when I met you, I saw a video before we had the master class, and my son is on TPN. He's been on TPN for 16 years now, going on 17 years. And I really resonated with your story. And I was just so amazed about your tenacity, your perseverance, and how you had to choose your own path. So, welcome, Dr. Leiva. I'm just so happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I see so much of myself in you and so many women. We are just reflections of each other's experience, whether we know it or not. And I think that's where I align with, Aryaa as well as you, that coherence, that vibration. Um, who am I? I am known as Dr. Leiva, Queen of Biohacking. I go all over the world to talk about how I did reverse a colostomy bag and how typical medicine, really should go beyond the diagnosis, because just like my children, I have two boys. One was born early. Both were born early by 8 weeks. The first one, I was guided to give him Pediasure for like the first 3-4 years of his life because he was premature and he did not eat and he did not walk, he did not talk. So he's a big reason why I am who I am today, because I was going to USF medical school and I took my MCAT and I had the whole medical path. But my mother had a stroke and lung cancer, and then my son was born early and he needed the Sure Step braces and he needed intense therapy. So for me to continue to go to school while I gave somebody else my family to rehabilitate, I learned really quickly so many different sides of healthcare, because you can see so much neglect, malpractice, and abuse. And that's very unfortunate. So I knew I needed to go home and take care of my family right away. So I changed the way my son ate and everything. And he went from not walking, not talking to I'm taking him next week to college. He's got a scholarship and he's a very strong, healthy boy. He does boxing in the garage and, he's very athletic. So I'm definitely someone that tells mothers, do not be defined by a diagnosis, especially mothers, because I myself was put in a box that I had the most severe Crohn's disease. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed. I went to the bathroom over 100 times a day. My teeth all have rotted away. These are all implants and crowns because of intubation, acid reflux. And it was embarrassing along the way. I didn't get support because, fortunately, people thought I was pretty on the outside. So they thought I was bulimic or anorexic, or, your mom's not feeding you properly, or my mother was a single mom. So there's so much nasty perspectives out there when someone's going through a disability or a condition that you can't so much see on the outside.
Yeah,
Which,
especially when you're not, like you said, the disability is not visible. I know when my son was going to school and he was in and out of the hospital all the time, and the teachers weren't very, almost very accommodating, but they didn't understand his diagnosis because you didn't see, he wasn't in a wheelchair.
Yep.
He just didn't physically look. And then he was also diagnosed with autism, but he's on the spectrum really high. So it was, as you said, navigating not only the school system, but definitely the medical system, and going beyond that, so especially when it comes to nutrition. And my son is on TPN and
Yeah.
he's dependent on that. And it's been a journey, I just want to say. And I'm just really learning more about, other alternatives. I mean, I don't know if it's going to help him per se, but at least I can be more aware and, like you said, make decisions
Yeah.
based on my son, because every child, every diagnosis is so different, right? As a person, there is individually. And I think I'm sure you knew your son better than the doctors knew your son, just
Totally.
by looking at him, and
My
you
whole life,
knew.
nobody ever gave me suppositories to absorb melatonin or glutathione or
Mm,
NAD. And when it's like nobody told me to put eye drops of supplements. And, I get IV therapy because we don't all absorb through the gut, as you
yes,
know. So,
right.
what's good for one might not be good for others. And that's where I promote, like, for people to be patient centered, client centered out there. And I do love, this food program because you can add in little variables to make it unique to yourself. And, just talking about detox, you have to find where you are and go from there, because when you try to go from where you think everybody else is, it's already not your own path, so you feel like a failure. And I think that's the biggest point for mothers, or even if you're trying to get children to detox, you have to find yourself where you are and just know the fact that you want to is a celebration.
And so I know you touched a little bit. What drew you to the Aryaa? Have you done other detox before, or was this your first? As I know you have a lot of different modalities that you use in your own practice, but how did you come across the Aryaa Organic detox program, and what really drew you to it?
So I would say I wasn't like looking for it specifically, being diagnosed with Crohn's and talking about gut health all the time. I have a monthly practice of fasting, which to me, I detox through fasting regularly. And this is what I always recommend. And it's easier for people like me or your son because we're
Yes,
used to not eating.
right,
So my
exactly.
patients are like, you little B word, like they're standing in front of the fridge imagining things. And me, I'm like, I could do without it. So
Yeah.
again, it's easier for some than others. That's why you can't judge any books by the cover. But I was at a Gaia health conference. I speak at conferences, and I was walking through the exhibit hall with Dr. Patrick Porter, and I saw their setup, and Kamal and Anna were there. And I truly felt like, if you've ever been to a theme park and you walk through this misting area,
Yes.
just mists on you. When
Hmm.
I walked past them, I looked and I got misted on with some quantum good energy. And I told Dr. Patrick Porter, hey, let's go check it out. Because we were doing a pilot with a group of people, and I wanted to include this food because we were doing mind, body, and soul. And as you know, Arya has included a lot of masters to talk about other things, not just nutrition, because you are your thoughts, right? Your
Definitely.
frequency is what you frequently see. Your thoughts today build your world tomorrow. So even if you're on the best detox in the world, but your mind is in the gutter, it's not going to do a good job. So that's why I was like, you know what? Let's look into this. These people are smiling. I just want to hug them. It was a magnetic frequency. So talk about coherence. And then when I learned about their philosophy and how they built the program and how it comes from ancient wisdom, everybody looks at me like the modern doc with all this fancy equipment because I'm queen of biohacking. I have electrical stimulation devices. I attach dry needles to shocking equipment. I can lift your face. I can body contour you through so many different methods without surgery. But to include these other methods of nutrition and mental health and all of that, it's just a full circle to bring together. And they were on board not only to partner, but also to enhance their program. So I'm a partner with BrainTap because they want to better a brilliant brains. when I met Kamal and Anna, they're like, you know what? We're going to keep building this program, keep expanding it. They're going to have community activities with it. And I love anything that brings community and coherence.
And what I loved about when I first, I've been detoxing since I've been in my 20s, detoxing and fasting for years, like, it's on a regular basis. So I thought, oh, yeah, I got this. And I didn't realize this program, as you said, is about the mind, body, and soul. And actually, I have a book being released in the fall called If Your Laundry Could Talk. And I talk about the 7 sacred threads of self-care, especially for moms, taking care of special needs. And it is about the mind, body, and the soul. And so I love what you were talking about. What the food. One of the things I noticed when I started the program is that in the past I've always done like water fast and all these extremes. So this one we actually ate food, natural organic food. And did you find a difference? Because you said you fast or actually detox, because there's a difference between detoxing and fasting now that I'm learning. But for you, what was the difference? Did you notice the difference being on the Aryaa program as opposed to the detoxes that you've done in the past?
So, and with my fast, I would add, chlorella pills, spirulina, things to clear the pathways. I would sauna 45 minutes to 2 hours at a time. And I would open the detox pathways. So I'm not going to go and talk about all of the lymphatic massaging and all of the stuff I do, with the fast. But one thing is with the Aryaa, I felt supported at a cellular level. Sometimes I feel like, what, it's my fast days. I'm going to eliminate all activities because I want to kind of just restore myself and not do too much, because you don't want to like burn so many calories when you're fasting, obviously.
Yes.
But with the Aryaa program, I felt like I had a relationship with my food. My son, though he did not do the same detox with me, who's 9 years old, helped me prepare it. He was looking at the slow cooker. He's like, why do you have all these beans? What's all this rice? And it was really cool. He helped me cut up the papaya. And now my son's eating like cucumbers and all of this stuff all the time. Like he's peeling it and everything. So I think it gave me a better relationship with my food. And also by having that, I just, like, I was getting coffee and they didn't have like the proper things. And they just gave me a thing of, white sugar and I just said no. I just would rather do without because I love myself so much.
Yeah.
So like as I went through the Aryaa process, every bit of food was so intentional going down my body. I included a meditation. We had a lot of intention setting.
Yeah,
So to go from that to putting bad food in my body, it was more than just the detox. It's like, no, I have respect for myself. I'm not going to do that anymore. So it was really awesome.
And I love what you said, because that's one of the things, kind of the myths, or kind of the, as moms, like, how can I do a 14-day fast when I'm raising a family, cooking for my family? But you said you just included your son in the process, even though he wasn't actually on the detox per se, but you got to prepare the food with him. And so I think those are just sacred moments right there that allows you to have some family time. And so can you speak on that, especially being a mom, but a mompreneur? So like you said, you did intentionally slow down a little bit when you started the detox and being more intentional, because as you know, as I know, the first 3 days for me, energy level is going up and down, and I totally forgot the very first time. So I just had a full-time schedule, and it kind of hit me a little hard, but it was okay, because I know, like you said, you feel you just support yourself a little bit more. And so with your family, how does that work with your family when you're detoxing and everyone else is eating food all the time? And so how do you?
That's one of the hardest things for moms. And even more so, it's like my son went to school and someone said we're the funny family. And I go, well, what was in their lunchbox? And he goes, oh, okay, who cares what they said? And for my son to just leave it at that was amazing. Just to know if someone is having food dye and all this sugar, and not to say their opinion doesn't matter, and he's got this ego, but just with him not feeling bad about himself and knowing we're caring about health, and it's not
Right.
judgment. That doesn't mean he never eats bad food, So like I let him try Oreos. I let him. I mean, the neighbor one time brought over a Prime drink, and I said, absolutely freaking not. Will you
Well,
not try that? Because some things have too much caffeine, and it's just really terrible for their children. Um, by my son, they've seen me reverse my colostomy bag, my first son. And my second son has seen me go from looking like a, Holocaust survivor to a bodybuilder. And I teach him it's not about the outside, but it's about longevity and feeling strong and healthy, and being able to be independent. Like these are
yeah.
the things that make a good quality of life. So when they see that in me, even sometimes when he's at a birthday party and someone gave him a Capri Sun, you know, he'll come be drinking. I'm like, you can drink that, but it's not good. And then he's like, why are you letting me drink it, mom? So now he's giving me the attitude back when I think I'm letting him be a
Make it
part of society. So I think
right.
when you educate your children, you empower them. And like I had neighbors, again, bringing over the Prime or Lunchables and all this stuff, but my son showed them the Yuka app,
Yeah.
and they were like, and
Yes,
again,
I love that
awareness
app.
is key. So she
Yeah.
said, oh my god, the kids are throwing out all the food, all of that. And I know you're talking about mothers who have children with disabilities. Ever since working with brain tap, there's so many mothers that'll come in and they're drinking like and no offense, I know we all have a starting point, but like something from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or Taco Bell or whatever, and they're like, my kid has a attention disorder. And it's like, what bowl is this fish living in?
Right.
Because the mother can take the fish out and say, I want you to be focused in this and this and this. But then they go home and they're eating all of this stuff,
Yeah.
and it's patterns. So we have
Yeah,
to
well,
be.
before my son was diagnosed, because we thought it was an allergy at first, but I had to read every single label. And so your children, you teach them and they grow up that way. So my son, doesn't eat sugar and sweets, and his food is very big because he does eat. He's on TPN 11 hours a day, but he does eat one meal a day, and usually it's whole foods, right? So
Mhm.
but I just know I had to read labels all the time, because you don't know what's in the food these days. And it's amazing. You think something so simple has something like dairy in it. It's like, why does popcorn have dairy in it? Just certain things like
It
that.
makes
So
no sense. And then like the top five cancer foods are things that like I even realized I was giving my kid all the time, like hot dogs and popcorn and
yeah,
lunch meat. And you're like, these are the top five. These are the top five recommended to put in your kid's lunchbox. And then
right.
so many people are like, kids are so picky. This is all they'll eat. But it's like what we're trained to feed them. My son eats cherry tomatoes every day, a cucumber, and I'm not like pushing it out there, but it's like I just had him go through a fast and reset. And your kid will get hungry and they will eat, unfortunately, if they do have TPN, some people are given different cards and nobody can ever imagine what those people are going through. So to support more with oral hygiene, or even looking into things that can go on the front and back of the digestive tract, because I mean, so much we forget about our bottom area. So to
Mhm.
expose the perennial area, which is the area around the where you go to the bathroom, for people who might not know, they have UVB lights, they have red lights and different
Mm,
things, especially for your son, because testosterone and different hormones are all activated by the sun. So when you cannot take nutrition through your mouth and you're on TPN or you're on something else, I I have so many jokes for talking to moms, so I can't say the specific jokes, that are maybe rated R or beyond, but you definitely want to sun your downstairs area. And I
right.
felt, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I didn't even know. I'm learning from you just at this point. Like, 'cause doctors, unfortunately, doesn't really teach this to you when you're
No,
taking them to their monthly visit and so forth like that. So I'm really enjoying our conversation. And I didn't even know about that because my son has a ileostomy and they
no.
removed his colon. And and I'm always at the doctor's, like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And, so I would really like to learn a little bit more about that. So I'm learning so
Yeah.
much from you today.
And trust
And
me, the kids don't want to hear it. I tell my son, go in the red light and take off your pants, expose yourself to the red light. He's like, oh, Mom, be quiet, but I'm like, just,
and
but
these are the type of conversations like I want to have with moms, because you can't have, it's difficult to have a conversation like this with the average community, because they just don't get it, right?
right,
When you're
yeah,
talking about like I said, TPN and things that happen, what happens to a body is amazing. Being in the doctors and hospitals, in and out, you just, I can't even explain all the stories that I've gone through with my son, and just the suffering and the pain that he has to experience to go through that, just to keep him alive, because it is a life. He has the life threatening disease just because he's on TPN,
yeah.
right? So all the
And
that,
then you need supplies and things to feed
yes,
your body, and nobody knows all the work that goes into what's going on day to day. You take it,
yeah.
and
So
you
it's
know,
amazing that you were able to reverse it, and then but also you had your sons that you were actually reversing their I don't know if
yeah.
you consider an illness. So that's really amazing. How important would you say like the Aryaa community has been for you? As I said, I created Mompreneurs Conversation because I just really didn't have a community. I was with a lot of entrepreneurs, but I had to hide a side of me because no one wanted to hear about your sick kid, or that
Yeah.
you're sick and so forth like that. So I always felt like when I was working my business, I had to keep my son, those issues and problems. But I'm a 24-hour caregiver, so I can't really say I did it. I don't know how I did. I tried to separate the two, but it was never separated. So that was really important to me, is creating community where we can have conversations like this. So I'm really excited to, I know you were just telling me about you're creating a tea time, so I want to learn a little bit more about that. But how
Yeah.
important is the Aryaa community when it comes to just what we have been learning about detoxing, and that 14 days, for us being together for 14 days, it is such an inspiration that we get to hear all the stories of what everyone is doing and how they're, I'm gonna say overcoming and just thriving. Because for me, I know the first few days were the most difficult, but after that, my energy level was off the chain, and this detoxing. So can you share with me how important the community, the Aryaa community, has been for you?
So I truly believe healing happens so much faster in a community setting because of support. I say one of the most common longevity factors for me speaking to people, so their late hundreds, is community. It's not this factor, that factor, no smoking, no drinking. It's community. Someone checking in on you, someone giving you support. And even when you fall off the bandwagon, as I have done in the past, and Anna was like, hey, it's no big deal. Give yourself grace. Everybody needs a hug.
Right.
So I think that that's what's awesome about the community, is because usually you're never alone in the things that you're thinking. You're usually never alone if you think you're the only one that fell off track. Usually you're not alone if, you're the person who might be going through a bowel or a digestion issue. So to talk about it in a community and know that you're not alone is really awesome. Just like science, if you have two vibrations that are similar, the amplitude of the wave goes up. So I want to raise my highest frequency, and Aryaa has done an amazing job with bringing people like you and me together, because just looking at your beautiful smile raises my frequency. And, this, just imagine how many people, and we're just going up and up and up. And if you listen to the quantum, meditation guides, and along with myself, this is spreading beyond this group to the world, and it's more than just us. So we are being the change we want to see. And for all of us, all of the moms who are like doing it while they watch their kids eat pizza and their husband bring home Taco Bell, and everybody doing all these weird things, and you're the only one doing it all by yourself, you feel so alone until you hop on an Aryaa call. And there's so many calls. You might not be able to attend them all, but you will be able to attend some. And in that moment, you have time to just express yourself and ask questions, as well as listen to a master that, sometimes to be alone with some of these people could cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and not to go into the material mindset, but it's a it's a well-intended program put together, packaged together at a very affordable price, which is what I love about it. Because so many things in the industry are thousands and thousands of dollars. I believe the 2 week pack is, what is it, like a couple $100 or $300, $400? I mean,
I think it's like I said, it's so reasonable,
yeah,
and for the food that we are getting, the master classes alone, I'm saying is thousands and thousands worth of, all the
yeah.
masters that we have. And I know actually our subject matter was about inflammation, and I think we kind of talked about foods, but can you go back? And I just actually I see that we have Anna. Annie, actually, she says Dr. Lauren is a powerhouse and always carries a wealth of information. She is a living example of how eating the right foods can completely reverse a disease. And we love her. And so thank you for that. And then we also said, so excited to be joining Aryaa for my first detox, receive my products, and they have been delivered. Beautiful system and people. Yeah, I got my box on Friday, so I'm looking forward to unboxing it, because they've done so many different upgrades, and we get to play a game now. And so I'm really excited about the next 14-day detox. Is actually August the 3rd. It starts August the 3rd. But I just kind of want to circle back to talk about inflammation. And I do know that one of the reasons why I detox is because of inflammation. I know years ago um, I used to have a lot of pain in my joints and my back, and I took dairy out of my diet, and I felt so different. But when I detoxed, I definitely feel that. Oh, I went to the doctor and said I had a lot of inflammation. So talk to me about a little bit about inflammation, how it creates pain, and what you do. I know we're talking about the detox, but if you can give us some tips on just regarding inflammation.
So I was signing in here to my Quest account because when I did the first Aryaa detox, um, my inflammatory markers were through the roof.
Mm,
Anybody who has a diagnosis of Crohn's or colitis or autoimmune usually has a higher inflammatory response. And and you're told that it's normal and it's your new norm. And that's something that I also want to talk about because I also have a different program than Quest Diagnostic that my doctor orders. I have one that I did for optimal performance in functional medicine. And when I finally got in the norms with the Crohn's doctor, I was still way out of the norms when I did it through the other blood tests because they can adjust the scale to what they think you should be in. So
exactly.
for me and my clients, I always want to be in the optimal. I want to be in the middle of the road. Okay. My HSCRP, this is what I was trying to look for, was crazy high. It was like 15, 16, 17. And I know a lot of people might not know what that specific marker is, but it is a very important marker to judge the inflammation in your body, which can cause heart disease eventually and early death. And for me to have, and I believe within the norm that my doctors told me should be under 4. And I was
Mm-hmm.
16. So after the first Aryaa detox, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I'm going to show you my scale because, okay, so here, if you see where it says C reactive protein
Yes.
14.8 high, okay, everything else good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So do you see the scale here? All right.
Yes, I do. Wow. Okay.
So I was hospitalized. Like I got my colostomy bag, and then boom, I was really bad. Um, Weird stuff in politics and world. I'm not gonna go there, but the world can kill you if you keep watching the news. Which is why you should just shut it off and love everybody and find a coherent community. Um, but I tried a lot of stuff, and this is what I wanted to show you. The first drop in my inflammatory markers was due to fasting. So
Mm,
fasting is very awesome, but I didn't change the way I eat.
right.
So it went back up, right?
Okay. Yes.
I changed the way I eat. It went down. I just took another test that's not in here yet, but it even stayed down. So I'm really excited. I haven't been down like this since 2022
Wow.
to
Okay.
maintain it. So it's been about 4 years. And as you know, with your son, like when people go through chronic things, it's a really big deal to change something when you're
Yes.
told it's just is what it is.
Yes.
So I love that. I mean, I was told I would never poop again. It's unimaginable. And I'm sure you get it. And like for me to like do it, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it.
That's why I'm
It-
so amazed because, like you said, you're given a diagnosis and you think that's the way it's going to be, and you're giving me hope, giving my me and my son hope, because I mean he's 22 now, so I am thankful and grateful for all the medicine that's got him up to that point. But he still has a whole life in front of him, right? And so we've learned how to just manage it, right? I want him to
Hmm.
thrive.
I was trying to I'm like looking for this book because I think there's an advantage I do have, which I share with my clients recently. I want to just pop it up here, but it's called The Trail Guide to the Human Body. And they
Mm.
have a coloring book. And the coloring book, you can paint your intestines, you can paint your heart. I use this for medical school for my MCAT because I'm a very visual learner. But when you bring your mind to your body and you talk to your body, so many people do this to heal. And my mother had me at an older age. She's no longer here. The hospital actually killed my mother. And this is part of my journey and why I do no harm. It's part of
Mm.
my journey. And when I was younger, she had me in her late 40s, but she used to tell me when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, she'd say, honey, I want you to pretend you're going through a fun house and I want you to paint the walls with aloe vera. The walls are your intestines.
Wow.
And I want you to notice that parts of the walls might have cracks or tears, but you're going to repair it with your mind and you're going to paint this fun house. You're going to be able to run through that tunnel. And so I was given a really good foundation of meditation and ability to open up my mind.
Mm.
Unfortunately, my mother didn't know about nutrition and all of that, so she always listened to the doctors.
Right.
But I wrote meditations, which I see is in the bottom of the screen for braintap.com/queen. All the moms can get free 14 days if they go, but I wrote specifically for kids on nutrition.
Did you? Oh, wow. Now, is that in the Brain Tap? Because after being a
Yeah.
part of the Aryaa community, I did get Brain Tap because it has definitely, I have one of those minds that never turns off. So
Mm-hmm.
sleeping is very difficult. I could be extreme exhausted and still can't stay asleep. So I've learned about, I mean, all the different modalities and like I said, all the science that we get to learn throughout the program and all the masters. So that's one of my favorite tools now is the Brain Tap, and
Yeah.
so I'll definitely listen to that. And really didn't think about having my son, really passing that on to him,
I
and
love the brain tap.
meditation.
You can play it 10 times a day. And I always
Wow.
say when you have achieved something, it's always amazing to share with your friends, your neighbors, your kids.
Yeah.
And I tell mothers, especially here, or I've gone to back to school fairs with the brain tap. And mothers they'll hold their kids back because they don't even want their kids might have a attention problem and they could knock everything off my desk or this or that. But I tell mothers, you might see people brain tap and sit there and meditate for 20 minutes. But I give it to kids and I say, play with it. They go up and down with it. They'll spread it apart. They'll put it back together. It's very pliable. And it might not look like what we meditate, but eventually the kid might go like this. And it puts so much energy through the ears. And I've seen mothers just break down and completely cry. And they're like, and I'm
Mm.
like, go to all of the booths, get your backpack, get your back to school stuff. I'll watch your kid while they meditate. They're like, no effing way. This is not even real. And they're just, I can't believe my kid is sitting there, you know? And magic happens when you allow that sacred space. When you have a rigid Karen or Darren who's like, sit down, put on the brain tap, be quiet. Don't, like it's not going to work out that way,
Right.
So just again, just like we meet ourselves as mothers where we're at for nutrition and detox, you have to meet your kid where they are at, even if you're
Exactly.
putting the brain tap on a radio in the room.
So that was still, you don't necessarily have to have the actual goggles and the actual
No, they
headphones.
can get
Yeah.
used to the voice. They can get
Okay.
used to the meditation. They might be playing with blocks. They might be fighting. Who knows? But you just
Hmm.
press play and it brings a coherent atmosphere. And then one day you say, like, these really cool headphones with really cool lights, try it out. But when you put it around them, you blink it. Yeah, you make it a toy because
Yeah,
they don't have respect for a medical device as we do.
Yeah. And I heard that actually Aryaa is actually we're gonna have Brain Tap as a special gift in our 14-day detox. We're gonna have access to it.
And I actually, you can hear my voice.
Yay!
14 days. Dr. Porter and I have Brain Tap meditations for the Aryaa Detox program as well. I have them for quantum healing journeys for adults. I have it for prostate health for men. You know, they do an anatomical journey, and for anybody to align their spine and free their mind. So I've written these programs since I met Brain Tap because, again, the hospital unfortunately killed my mom, medical malpractice. And my mindset was really low, and it brought me, you know, up into where I am today. And I still use Brain Tap almost every day.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited for the next program. We actually have a link. It's scrolling across if you're interested in actually joining us for our next brain tap, for actually our next detox. And I do know tomorrow that the Aryaa community, they're having a overview. So if you want to learn a little bit more, we'll have the link below. It's going to be 7:30 Central Standard Time, which is 6:30, I think that's Pacific. No, actually 5:30 Pacific time. I'm here in California. But it's been such an honor and such a pleasure to speak. I've learned so much during this our live special series, and I'm looking forward to following you a little bit more and learning more, because there's so much more to medicine, right? And as we talk about it, it's ancient medicine. However, it's science now that it's, you know, it's more than just going to the doctors now. There's just so many things out there that we can really learn about, and I'm really excited to learn more from you, Dr. Lutz.
I used to always say ancient wisdom where it meets modern science, but now AI put that under almost every doctor's title, so I don't even want to say it anymore.
Okay, we're not gonna.
You know, but that is truly what I've been doing for the past 20 years. I have gone to Master Sound Healing School. I study frequency medicine, but we also have a voice. We have the earth, we have the sun. So there's ways to pay for it. There's ways to get it for free. And Aryaa is a great lifestyle to add in to anybody's home life. Brain Tap's amazing. And I look forward to a lot of you guys listening. I hope that you guys join our group, and then you can ask more questions. And then you can look for my book. I have 2 books coming out, From Patient to Provider, which is my experience going through what I did as a kid. And then now, and then another one for all you moms, which is Sexiness is Not for Singles.
I love that. And when are your books coming out? And we're definitely going to put the links just to be able to contact you directly and about your book, and definitely to come see us during the Aryaa.
I'm hoping they come out by January. I'm giving a very preliminary view because we have some edits and publishing, but like I'm really excited about both of them. The Sexiness is Not for Singles came out because I just felt like motherhood, or women that are married, or even, you know, my patients that have conditions where they might be just, again, it's just so chronic pain. It's who has the energy to be sexy?
Yeah.
Right? Who cares about being beautiful? You just want to be out of pain. That's what I hear all the time. So this book brings a lot of that stuff in, and it's a really cool aspect of the ideas around sexiness and health.
Yes, definitely. Me as a mom too, you know, being in and out of the hospital rooms all the time, not being able to, I'm looking as caregivers, we take care of our, you know, our children, and then we don't take care of ourselves. And then that's what I ended up hitting burnt out, and it really scared me. So I really need to take care of myself too. And that's the reason why I believe in these programs like the Aryaa program, and just, you know, different ways of meditation. And, you know, I always say that self-care is not a luxury. It's not just about going to the spa. It's about essential. It's about well-being, healthy living for the mind, body, soul, heart. Community is important. And so I just want to thank you for joining us today.
I hope you'll be back soon.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, have a great one, everyone. We're going to go ahead and close out today, and we're looking forward to you joining us the next time on Moms Convo. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.